Hey guys, Thea here from That Sweet Tea of Life, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to make sure that your furniture not only looks its very best, but it also functions its very best. As you can see, I've already taken a look and worked on the top 4 dresser drawers here, and they all smooth and glide perfectly with just the easiest touch. Now this last drawer in the drawer space that it's in has not been worked on yet, and well, you can tell. It doesn't want to budge. It doesn't want to move. And so I'm going to have to call in some reinforcements to get this guy out so we can get started. All right, and she's out. I'm just going to put this aside and then we'll get started on the inside and we'll come back to the dresser drawer later. With my hand, I just gently go over it. Now this thing had already been cleaned out very well before putting the dresser drawers in there. So for the most part, there's nothing left. Just a little bit of dust that I can easily sweep away. Now the star of this show today is going to be Big Mama's butter. I'm going to use it in several different ways, but the key is that we are really looking at the internal functions of the dresser and making sure that everything is super silky, smooth, and sealed so that it lasts a really long time and functions very well for the family that's going to be using it. What I'm doing now is I have been able to feel that this little stretcher or glide is truly quite rough. It's going to cause friction, and that might be one of the sticking points that it had to begin with. So I'm going to add a rather generous amount of Big Mama's butter on there, or B&B is what I'm going to call it, just to start filling in the pores and nourishing that wood. Again, I come over to the sides and I'm going to begin doing the same thing. This is a way that you're able to seal the wood kind of from the inside out. Over the course of the next month or a couple of weeks, it's going to cure really hard, but again, it's from the inside out, not just sitting on the surface. Now I'm going to take one of my sanding pads from Dixie Belle. Now you can use any sort of flexible sanding paper or regular sanding paper. This one just happens to be my favorite because it's really comfortable to use because of the foam backing, and the grit is exactly where I want it. And I think that is right around 100, maybe 150 grit. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to begin working that butter over the surface, or the B&B over the surface and into the wood. This is going to really just give it a silky, smooth kind of feel that it's going to have no problem with traction or any sort of grippiness as the drawer is gliding in and out. Now coming back to the center area, now that I know that the butter has been sitting here and kind of just doing its thing, being absorbed into that raw wood for a little while, I'm going to add a little bit more and once again come back with my sanding pad, begin to smooth it out and work that butter in any areas where I've begun to kind of sand away any of the rough edges of the wood. And once again, this is going to give it that silky, smooth, flawless surface that I know this drawer is going to have no problem whatsoever gliding right across. Remember as you work to use a paper towel to begin wiping away any of the excess. Feel free to do this at the very end once you know all of the B&B has soaked in as much as the wood will accept. Now something to consider whenever you're using the B&B over any areas that are going to be exposed is, as you can see, it darkens the wood significantly. It really begins to pull out the colors, give it that sense of warmth, and deepen the overall appearance. Please know that this isn't going to last forever. As it begins to dry or actually cure over time, it's going to kind of find a middle ground. So it's not going to be quite as light as you started with, nor will it end up being quite as dark as what you end with. As you can see, once again, I'm ending with my sandpaper, giving it that silky smooth feel. paper towel to clean up any excess. Onto the dresser drawer. Once again, I can just kind of go everything with my hand and just dust away anything that was left behind. I check the center glide just to be sure that everything is intact and I don't need to add any sort of reinforcement. Then once again, I use my B&B to begin working into the wood, giving it a good coat to begin penetrating and sealing it from the inside out. If you're not sure where to add your B&B, make sure you add it anywhere that you know there's going to be friction between one piece of wood to the next. Also, you're going to want to apply it anywhere that you basically just want to freshen the look and give it new life. If you're not completely sure of exactly where you want to use this method or this product at, just take a look at where the wood is going to rub against each other, have any sort of friction, and that's going to be where you want to use the sanding method especially. Otherwise, it's really just anywhere that you want to give it a good, fresh, warm, rich appearance. And now it's time to flip this guy over and begin working on the inside and the outer edges of the drawer. Now remember, some of the things I'm doing today are completely optional and only for aesthetic purposes, not for functionality. This is one of them. I'm going to go ahead and use the B&B to seal the entire inside of the dresser drawer as well as the outer edges. These serve no purpose other than aesthetic, looking pretty, and just giving an overall polished look. Additionally though, if you're using a scented B&B like this one in Orange Grove, it's going to be lovely whenever they open up the piece and are immediately hit with that lovely Orange Grove scent. Keep in mind though, everything I'm showing you today is absolutely applicable to any sort of very soft sort of waxy product, scented or not. So feel free to use whatever you like. This is just my favorite at the moment. Now I do often like to come back with the sandpaper if I'm going to go ahead and use the B&B on those areas at the very top. And again on the sides the same thing, especially if they feel rough or just unpleasant. Go ahead and hit them with the sandpaper, why not? Again, it's totally up to you. This is just one of the things I like to do. Now if you're like me and laying wallpaper or decorative paper just isn't always your thing, or personally I love to have the mixture of a beautiful piece with rustic elements. And this is the perfect way to go about doing this in a way that feels and looks intentional. And now I leave you with my favorite tip yet. After you've put the dresser drawers back inside, go ahead and use your B&B to go over the entire piece. While you already have your top coat on there, this just adds that silky, buttery, smooth feel all over. Think of it like waxing a car and making your finish last that much longer. This is just the same. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope you've learned a little something and that I've helped you in some way. If you have any sort of questions or comments, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to help. Until next time, be sure to like and subscribe if you want to learn more.